Yeah.
Welcome to Rauta. Today
Kind
we have some Finnish thrash metal. We have a band called the Demonztrator or Demonztrator. How you want to pronounce it, guys? Let's start with this question about the band name. Why is that a silly name for a thrash metal band?
Yeah, maybe our singer probably has the best idea of it, but I don't know. It's a fun name. It's got demon in it. You can say demonstrator or demonstrator, and I think you can think about it a little bit from the kind of way that we basically did this kind of tribute to old Finnish bands in the beginning, old Finnish thrash metal bands. So I don't know, maybe the demo word there with together with demon is kind of like maybe there's some sense in that. I don't know.
So what exactly
I'd say the same.
What exactly are you demonstrating then?
Yeah,
Well,
I guess we demonstrated what the old school thrash metal in Finland was all about. I guess it started out from that, and then we kind of just continued on and made our own little statements what it should be.
Yep.
So in that sense, because it's not too serious, it's kind of like a very old school name. Like, you know, when thrash metal was very cool to be fun and nobody was taking it too serious, even though the music itself was really tight and all. And indeed, you guys play old school thrash metal. That's what I really like about your second album. It's very intense. You are all the way having very heavy riffs. They have a good structure, very much energy. How did you come up with such ideas like let's go all the ways back in the 1980s?
Well, that's all I can write. I mean, I've been living through. I'm 51 soon, so I lived through the thrash years in Finland, the early years with Stone and Air Dash and all the bands, and I've been listening to that kind of music all my life. So that's all I can write, and that's what comes out from me. And then we got a little bit of the melody stuff from Timo and his perspective. So he's a bit younger. So yeah, that's our music.
Yeah, well said. There's different kind of ways of writing things, and Jukka brings in a very old school kind of writing way of writing. But at the same time, I think my writing is pretty in certain ways kind of old school type too, because I listen to mostly old thrash metal bands.
So then the big question is, what took you so long? Why we had to wait until 2021 for you to come up with such a classic? Why didn't it happen like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago?
Life happened. But Jari asked me to come to the project, and it started from there. I started to write and play more seriously again, and maybe the stars aligned 2021. And of course we had Seppo with us, the session drummer, so he was a big part of making the music, and it was easy and nice to do it with him. So yeah.
According to Metal Archives, you have this one album prior to this one, but it's cover songs. Am I correct? What's the story with that?
Yes. That's a story that goes with, that's Jari's, our singer's original idea of doing that kind of a cover album, where we wanted to pay kind of a tribute to these old Finnish thrash metal bands that had not done like proper releases, not like Stone, but these smaller bands. Well, there was Air Dash that was a little bit bigger, and they had an album. There's maybe some other bands that made a full-length album, but mainly bands that have been kind of like, they haven't been getting a big credit out of what they did. So it was basically about trying to pay tribute to those bands and showing people the songs, because the songs are the main thing there. And we updated the sound so that they sound a little bit updated, and you get the kind of like more modern kind of take on it.
Could we really consider it like lengthy demo of sorts, like not a real debut album considering it's cover songs, even though it's technically speaking an album.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
in
I
a
could
way,
say,
but yeah. Okay.
yeah. Let's you do it. Yeah, you can tell your perspective because you was the main guy. You brought me in a bit later. You started with the project, and yeah, it's not kind of demos, but an updated sound, and we wanted to bring the songs to full justice. So they were properly done in the studio, and yeah, we wanted to really make a tribute for the old bands, and so we could, and then we played the songs in Tuska also, and we had some of the original members on the songs with us playing solos, drums, etc. So yeah.
That brings me to the question, when did you realize you need to do your own material instead of cover songs?
Pretty fast for me, because I felt that there's this kind of a need when you have a group of people who play music. Then at least for me, it's an important thing about playing music is that you start doing your own thing. And so we started doing our own thing. That's in all simplicity, that's my kind of take on it.
You mentioned that you have a session drummer, you don't have a kind of a permanent member, and that also meant that you had cancel some gigs you had planned. Like there was supposed to be this kind of a Rauta club in my home city Turku that you were supposed to play, but then I got notified that your drummer position is not exactly the most stable one. So what's the story with the drummer of Demonztrator?
Well, my brother played the drums for the cover album and the EP that we had, the 4-song EP, Myriad Ways of Dying. But after that, we got Seppo Tarvainen in the band as a session drummer. And we had the idea of doing a record. So he's basically one part of Sinister Forces of Hatred, one big part in the way that we did all these arrangements, and he brought in almost full song and some riffs and so on. And I think he's been a pretty important part of this album. But basically, well, he came in as a session guy, and now it seems like he's doing other projects. So
yeah, and the so famous COVID came along and everything shut down, and during that time he found some other projects he wanted to do, and now we're in this situation. We have no drummer. So
yeah. So if you can play, let us know.
Yeah, okay, let
if
us
you
know.
have the balls.
One thing which needs to be addressed is that I like old school thrash metal. I like basically all the forms of extreme metal, including thrash metal and all those other styles. But thrash metal kind of became unsexy for so many people. Like people wanted to do death metal first, and then suddenly it was black metal. And now, even though death metal is having certain kind of a renaissance phase, you know, new bands popping up, and old school death metal is sound forward, with black metal still being much on the focus, but somehow people are overlooking thrash metal, even though it was a very important part in creation of death metal and black metal. What do you think went wrong with thrash metal, even though it's a solid genre with great bands, but it seems like only a handful of people are interested in it?
Yeah, I think it's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why aren't people interested in thrash metal? That's exactly what I'm thinking most of the time.
yeah, people listen to crappy music nowadays, and nobody wants to listen to full albums anymore. It's kind of one song, and you listen to it 3 times, and the next song, and I don't know. New times, crazy times. Exodus made a fucking great album now, and you look at the Spotify streams, they're kind of silly. When you go and look at some metalcore or something, they get a million spins in one day. It's really crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really funny when you think about it. You mentioned Exodus. but also bands like Testament and the like that have been here for almost like 40 years now. They are still active. They're doing good music, good albums. They have a solid production. They're signed to big labels. But it seems like thrash metal is only, happening because of the big bands, not only Big Four, because obviously there are these German bands, Destruction, Sodom, Creator, they are being all active. But it seems like there is a big gap from the 80s bands to nowadays bands, and there's hardly anything in between. Even old names such as Violence suddenly made a comeback, but we are like missing like 2 decades of bands. What would you say is the cure we need for thrash metal to come back?
People need to have their ears opened and understand that there's like, why aren't you listening to thrash metal? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know. We have the new bands, Havoc and Warbringer and whatnot, but I don't know. All the young guys want to play death metal, or they want to paint their clown faces on, and I don't know. It's not hip anymore.
Yeah, it's like way too serious. But I need to also know, because once we're talking about old bands, old thrash metal bands, a lot of them were inspired by something else than thrash metal. After all, they were creating the whole genre in the 1980s, and before them, there was no real thrash metal. But now in 2022, we have that 40 years and more of history of thrash metal. So what kind of bands, or you can even name some of the bands if you want to, what kind of music, what kind of bands inspire you to do these riffs?
Yeah, that's a good thing to ask, because I listen to a lot of thrash metal bands, but I'm also inspired by all these different bands that kind of inspired all these old school thrash metal bands. I like a lot of punk music, some hardcore punk music, some, but and then there's a lot of old heavy metal bands that I'm really into. My music taste in metal is mostly constructed by these traditional heavy metal bands and thrash metal, speed metal.
What about you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm all in I'm an 80s guy. Iron Maiden, Dio, from their Kiss, all this old stuff, Judas Priest, and from there on then came the Creators and Slayers and Testaments and everything. Metallica, of course, it was my main influence when I was younger. Master of Puppets is the greatest album to this day. So for me, Raining Blood by Slayer and Megadeth's Peace Sells and like that. So that's my inspiration, and I still listen to it.
The next question obviously is, what can you bring to this thrash metal genre?
We brought Sinister Forces of Hatred. That's an accumulation of 40 years of listening to this shit. So that's all vomited on the record now. No, but that's the kind of music we can bring. I don't know, classic riffs with a little kind of melody and a little spin twist on the thrash metal. Yeah,
we're not trying to reinvent things, but we're trying to make it the songs interesting and fun. That's my thought of how we want to do music.
Yeah, many of the new bands, not to name any names, it's not bad, it's not for me. They are really confusing the songs with a million riffs, and I like simple structure, with chorus and everything, like a proper song.
like kind of a traditional thrash metal, where you have these mosh parts, you have chorus parts to sing along, and kind of a riffs that get you into the mood, and then before you get bored, it's done.
Yes.
All right. Because thrash metal, like we discussed, is kind of a harder genre to get into, and there's not too many too big audiences. How did you find label? Was finding a label easy or hard task for you?
It wasn't easy. It was difficult to find a label. Jari Jari and Kriba probably have more thoughts about this or have more to say about this. But we did send a lot of, we sent these kind of promos, promo tracks to a lot of labels, and we waited for a pretty long time to get anything acceptable.
Yeah,
there was
if you
some
don't
interest, but it's
Yeah, if you
really
don't-
difficult to find a label.
yeah, if you don't want to pay for the label,
Yeah.
it's kind of really hard. So yeah.
But you found a decent label and they put out a nice CD and all, and it looks fantastic. You have a great old school cover, which is also beautiful to the eye. How did your, how to say, partnership, how were you welcome to the Oster family with the album?
I think we were welcomed pretty well. There's been there's sincere interest in our band from the label, and they want to push it, and they have different kinds of ideas about doing things. So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty happy that we got support for this album, and it feels like it's actual support instead of just having our name on a label and nobody giving a crap about it.
I also noticed that beyond me, you got some nice reviews. So people listening to old school thrash metal were like actually happy about it. So it wasn't just, you know, old school guys doing old school thrash, but even the review guys seem to appreciate that and like your album. Did that come as a surprise? Were you confident that you're gonna just nail it, or were you a bit of like, I don't know what to do?
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I really like the Art Shock magazine. The guy who brought Metallica in '84 to to Holland, he really liked our album, and I think he bought 25 copies or something. It was a
Okay.
really big surprise, and yeah, I like it.
Let's recap the whole concept of lyrics before we go on. What kind of lyrics in general you need to have to fit the band? Your band, that is.
Evil. It's got to be evil. Evil or very dark.
Yeah, aliens must be on the one song is about aliens. Yeah, we had to make one song about aliens. Yeah.
So you don't want to have those topics such what some old school bands, including Metallica and like that, societal issues, but you wanted to go more into fictional.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of societal stuff on that Collapse song there, but I don't know. I think that this band and its sound somehow, I think the more kind of horror and evil kind of themes are more kind of they work with this kind of music. Although, yeah, talking about society, a lot of it is very dark and a lot of it is very evil. So we can still get stuff from there. But Metallica has they kind of there's this kind of, how do you say it? There's a philosophical kind of way of writing lyrics, and I think that our lyrics are more like, I don't know, maybe it goes a little more to that Slayer kind of territory if it's about society or something. I don't know.
All right, fair enough. What can people expect when you enter the stage? What kind of a show are you going to offer?
Well, we need a drummer. but the kind of show, yeah, the shows that we played, I think there's a lot of energy. It's very straight on, full power, straight at your face, kind of. A lot of power and energy from the stage.
No gimmicks, just playing the music. Yeah.
All right. If you could plan, let's say, imagine a tour with some kind of a favorite band, where would you go and who you would choose to be your partner in crime?
That's a tough question.
Obviously.
There's so many bands. so many great bands, but we'd fit in with some pretty aggressive band, I think, probably better. So I don't know. Jöka, do you think Exodus would be good for us?
We could open for the Bay Area Strikes Back tour, no problem.
Yeah. Or yeah.
Okay, this is for fans and labels all alike. Okay, pick these guys for some Bay Area tour, and we're ready to go. All right, guys. Before I let you go, I need to know what is happening after this album. Obviously, gonna do some gigs when you have the drummer, but what is the next step in terms of writing and releasing new music?
It's pretty open right now. Jöka, what do you think? You have some riffs and stuff done, at least.
Yeah, well, we have some early stages demos for songs and such, and we have some spare songs from the session we did. So maybe an EP, I don't know. It's hard to say because it's really open up when we don't have the drummer. So everything is in a standstill kind of now at this moment, but we'll see. We have some songs already written, more or less, and then we have some spare songs over from the session we did for this album. So maybe we release an EP or something. We don't know yet. It's hard to say.
All right. One last question. If there is now a bunch of younger generation thrash metal guys watching this interview, which I hope, what kind of advice you would give to the younger generation, learning from your mistakes and victories? What these youngsters making the next big thrash metal thing should know coming from you guys?
I don't know, they probably know better than us. Well, yeah.
I will answer for you. Don't wait for 30 years.
Yeah,
that's a good,
I almost,
that's a good point.
yeah. I was about to say, don't sit around for 20, 30 years and do the record when you're 50. Do it when you're 18 and 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it was nice to have this chat with you. I hope that you will be eventually getting that drummer and we can see that Rauta Club happening. Before I let you go, people, check out the album Sinister Forces of Hatred. It's really good old school thrash metal from 2021. You wouldn't even you wouldn't believe how modern and old school it sounds at the same time. Now, guys, the very last one, you can both answer. Pick one of your favorite tracks. Which track to go with if you're new to the band?
Which track to go to? I'll still say Crossing the Rubicon.
All right, that's a really good one.
I say Nail Them All. Yeah,
all right,
that's a nice one.
All right,
yeah, I like it.
People, go with these tracks. They are really killing. I mean, there is no weak track at all on the album. So check it out and learn from the masters. These guys know how to do it. So don't be a coward. Enter the thrash metal realm of Demonztrator. This is Rauta. Take care and see you soon with more stuff coming your way. Click and like and whatever. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.